All right, and we are live. So thank you so much, everyone, for looking forward to joining this webinar today. And as we mentioned last week, we ought to give you two new topics to be shared by two new guest speakers, wonderful guest speakers that we have today, to share their insights, their knowledge for particular topics that they have chose to share with us today. And this is Phil, your host for Let Us Talk It Zipinars. If you are wondering why we call it Zipinar, it is because we try to zip in two topics in one session. Just for 1 hour, it will shorten the time consumed from you joining this webinar, but it will give you more knowledge in a shorter period of time. So this initiative is to give back to the community through free knowledge sharing, as we believe knowledge should be free. And this is made possible by the company behind this initiative, which is Cogent Integrated Business Solutions. They are based in Detroit, Michigan. They're an IT company and who support as well such initiatives like this. So, to start off, we have the first topic today, which is titled Three Key Mindset Shifts to Cultivate Compassion Within and Around You. So, this is to discover the transformative impact of compassionate mindset to lead your life and uplift those around you, inspire empathetic connection and growth through cultivating compassion. So, this will be shared to us by Sudipti, which is an inner experience coach, mindset, and life skills. So she is deeply passionate about understanding the transformative power of mindset shifts in people's lives. So, what makes me uniquely relevant is her question during her personal journey. So that make her involved in a complete shift in perspective that transform her into a spiritually open-minded individual. So more of this information on her bio will be shared by our guest speaker today. So I will not take too much time and let her give you the rest of the introduction for herself, along with the topic, the three key mindset shifts to cultivate compassion within and around you. So we present as Sudipti, and you can take over.
Okay, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Thank you for that warm introduction, Phil. I'm truly grateful to be here. And a big thanks to the audience joining in, and um, a special thanks to Phil too um, for bringing this wonderful speaking opportunity to me. And it's an honor to be here. So thank you so much. So, so as we gather here, let me pose a question for all of you to ponder. Have you ever wondered how your connection with your own self influences the compassion you are able to show to others? I really
Uh,
want all of you to reflect on this question. Have you ever wondered how your connection with your own self can influence your ability to show compassion to others?
okay, this question really is worth pondering, uh, because now being presented with this question, I started to ask myself now because there were times that it's really hard to accept the mistakes or the self challenges that you have experienced, and by that you
Mhm,
also attract same type of people, and
mhm,
also it may be hard for you to
mhm.
develop those skills, interpersonal skills.
Yeah. So, you reflecting on this question has a transformative potential because it has the ability to enhance the shared compassion we experience. Yeah. So I understand that a lot of people may be confused, may may have a different kind of thoughts listening to this question. So maybe you are feeling confused, maybe you're feeling uncertain, maybe you're feeling doubtful, or really, maybe you're in disbelief, thinking how the connection with your own self can have an influence on your ability to show compassion, right? So so that's all right. It's okay to feel that way, and let me illustrate through my personal experience. So, around 8 years ago, I joined a volunteer. I joined a mental well-being platform as a volunteer. So I was driven by my passion to contribute in this mental well-being platform, and I was trained to provide emotional support to the people. So here I really enjoyed listening to people, supporting people, and lifting their spirits up. Um, but what happened is I ended up neglecting caring for myself. So this resulted in me feeling really heavy after conducting that supportive session with them, and witnessing so many people suffering so much made me feel made me question the meaning of existing itself. And on the other hand, I was unconsciously seeking validation. When I used to receive positive feedback, I would feel like I'm valuable, right? And I would feel like my life has meaning. While when I used to receive unpleasant feedback, I would end up questioning my own worth. And sometimes it would affect me so much that I would go months not finding that confidence to support people. So, so reflecting on this question that I had posed, helped me realize that my compassion for others was strongly tied to my connection with myself. So as I worked on shifting my mindset around compassion, um, I noticed some significant difference. I started embracing boundaries. I started investing my time and energy wisely. I learned that it is okay to not be able to support every single person on the planet. Instead, what's important is um, me creating a meaningful difference in the lives of those who connect with my perspective, who resonate with me, and who are within my influence. And and also one more thing I realized, that the most important thing I can do to support others is my own transformation, because the way I show up, the way I act has a significant impact on the lives around me. So also this this realization also helped me build up my confidence. Now my confidence stemmed from self validation, and my compassion was flowing from gratitude and love. Yeah. So now I have found out that enhancing my connection with myself by shifting my mindset not only made my life pleasant, but also deepened my ability to show compassion. And this fostered in an emotionally stable approach. Yeah. So, you must be wondering, what's the connection? What's the link between our today's topic, compassion, and the connection with ourselves, right? So the link is actually um, it is a bridge to something profound, and that is self-compassion. So, okay. So, as I reflected on my journey, I realized that compassion is not just about serving others. It actually begins within us. And as our ability to show compassion is it's rooted in our capacity for self-compassion. And when we nurture our connection with ourselves, when we strengthen our connection, when we care for ourselves, um, when we care and when we embrace our vulnerabilities, right? We create a strong foundation um, to uh, to cultivate authentic compassion, and that can create a ripple effect. So compassion truly starts from within. So and I feel, in fact, every true change starts from within, and that causes a ripple effect, transforming the world around us. Because when we show up when we show up from a healed, loving, and compassionate space, we can extend that healing, love, and compassion towards others. So yeah, okay. So now I just wanted to briefly introduce myself, as we are absorbing the idea that compassion starts from within. So I'm Sudipti. I'm an inner experience coach um, um, who focuses on helping people shift their mindset and nurturing life skills all through metaphysical perspectives. I love helping people enhancing their inner experience through self-love and self-awareness. And I strongly believe that self-transformation is the key to um, shift our realities and create transformation in our world. So, yeah, today's session. So, what we are going to do today is understand compassion more deeply. We are going to discuss the three key mindset shift to cultivate compassion, and I'll also share some information briefly about dedicated support you can receive to create a transformational mindset shift. So also applying this mindset shifts has the capacity to increase your level of compassion, your level of giving and receiving compassion, and also this can enrich your life and also your relationships. So how can you get the most out of this session? Be sure to utilize the chat, keep yourself muted unless called upon, turn your phone on silent, close down your other tab, and most importantly, have a beginner's mindset. So now let's understand compassion on a deeper level. So this is I love this definition. This is about compassion in compassionate mind training. So compassion is a sensitivity to the suffering of self and others, with a commitment to relieve and prevent it. So here we can see there are two parts. First is a sensitivity to the suffering of self and others. So that is about bringing awareness towards our suffering. There's no running away, no distraction, no blocking, and bringing that awareness so that we can cultivate strength and courage to face distress, to face suffering. The second part is with a commitment to relieve and prevent it. So this is all about developing action, developing skills to manage and transform the suffering. So as we can see, these two parts are interconnected. So if we only focus on the first part, a sensitivity to the suffering of self and others, that is bringing awareness. If we get stuck there, then it won't be enough to create a transformational impact, right? Because just by feeling the emotion of self and others, you can't create an impact. You need to develop an action, right, to relieve and prevent it, to manage and transform the suffering. Similarly, if we only focus on the second part with the commitment, that is about developing action without bringing awareness to the suffering, then we won't be able to craft a proper action plan, right? It won't be having a stable foundation without we having an awareness of what the suffering is about, right? So here are some insights on compassion. So these are some research studies. So first was um, creating a compassionate culture helped the employees in um, reducing burnout, and they were more engaged at work. In this compassionate culture. Secondly, healthcare workers who showed more compassion to their to the people they were serving, um, uh, whereas they experienced less burnout. Lastly, this one is interesting actually, because this is about the therapist. So therapists showing compassion. So therapists who were critically the most critical about themselves, they were the most hostile, controlling, and critical of their patients. So here we can see how lack of self-compassion can really negatively influence the lives around, right? The people we serve. So um, so this shows how important self-compassion is, and um, how that can have an impact on others. So quickly, what compassion is not. It's not about just feeling sorry for oneself. It's not about pity. It's not about being passive. It's not about being helpless or weak. It's not about being a doormat. So what compassion is really about? It's about prioritizing our well-being, gaining emotional awareness, being brave to face our challenges, seeing everyone as equals, not comparing our struggles with others, not comparing other struggles with other people, developing strength um, to overcome the challenges, developing skills and action to transform the suffering, and being assertive. So let's discuss the three key mindset shifts to cultivate compassion. So the first one is from being judgmental to being empathetic. So when you experience this judgmental mindset, how can we challenge this kind of mindset? The best way is to question by considering evidence. What evidence do we have, right? And the evidence, um, and is this evidence fair or exaggerated? And there's an interesting fact that empathy can be learned, even though many people may have empathy inborn. That is possible, but it can be learned as well. And how compassion is related to empathy is compassion is empathy combined with the desire to help. So when we shift from being judgmental to being empathetic, this creates a supportive environment. And what happens is we get the opportunity to address the underlying issues, and that can inspire growth, especially in leadership, right? When instead of being judgmental, when the leader decides to be empathetic, they'll create a more supportive environment. They'll try to understand the people's issues, and help them grow. So here are some examples of judgmental mindset beliefs to empathetic beliefs. So I always mess up. I'm such a failure. That is judgmental. I made a mistake, but everyone does. This mistake doesn't define my worth. So you can see the shift, how much it matters, right? Second is he never talks in meetings. He's not interested. Now that's a very quick assumption, quick that is like jumping into conclusion. The empathetic version would be he might prefer different ways of contributing, or maybe he's uncomfortable speaking in groups. So now the person is being really understanding. So when you struggle with judgmental mindset, you can ask yourself this question, and I hope this will help. What would happen if instead of judging myself or others, I chose to explore the underlying emotions in the situation? Right. So now you are shifting your focus from judgmental to understanding yourself, understanding your experience. So then next shift is from being victim to being a leader. So how can we challenge the victim mindset? By taking responsibility. So this is about taking responsibility for our actions, right? Even our reactions. And if suppose we are not the person who made the mistake, but still we can take responsibility for our emotions. Instead of saying that the other person was person caused me this emotion, instead of saying that, um, the truth is that our the how we view the world depends on our perspective, our mindset. So we are the ones who are completely responsible for our emotions. So taking responsibility for our emotions, our thoughts, and of course focusing on opportunities for growth. And when we do that, we are not dwelling on the circumstances. We are shifting the focus to growth. And and when I talk about being a leader, this is not about a leading. This is not about just leading others, but this is mainly about self leadership. So leading your life, right? Instead of just following or just blindly doing things. So self leadership has greater mental and emotional. Self leadership leads to greater mental and emotional well being. And self leadership, in summary, is being accountable for ourselves and making compassionate decisions. That's the connection between the two. So when we shift from being a victim to being a leader, this shift leads to increased resilience, our ability to get back up, right? And embraces growth opportunities. So this is a mindset belief of victim mindset. So things happen to me, I have no control. So the leader mindset, right? That one would be things happen through me because I can influence by taking charge charge for my life, shifting my perspective and making wiser decisions. So when you find yourself struggling with mindset, you can ask yourself this question. What would happen if instead of being a victim, I focus on taking a small step towards shifting the circumstance to a more favorable outcome? Now, this small step need not be a physical action. It can be as little as simple as thinking better thoughts, focusing on pleasant feelings, or taking taking a small action, maybe your well-being, so that you can approach the situation in a more stable manner. Now, the third mindset shift is from being a perfectionist to being a progress-focused learner. So, how do we challenge the perfectionist belief? By starting to appreciate our progress. because when we focus on our progress, we can see how much we have grown, right? So focusing on the lessons learned. And the fact is that when we celebrate our focus, this leads to increased motivation, and this can also boost our self confidence. So when we are progress focused, how this connects with compassion is being being progress focused equal to being compassionate, as well as that mindset encourages continuous learning. So when we shift from being a perfectionist to being a progress focused learner, this shift encourages learning and exploration. So exploration may involve experimentation, being curious, being willing to explore new things. So this is one belief of perfectionist. I should know it all. So instead of that, the progress focused one would be, it's okay to not know. Everybody has something to learn, and I'm open to continuous growth. The second one would be success means perfection. So that's a very difficult standard, right? So the alternative would be success is embracing progress. So when you find yourself being stuck in this perfectionist um, mindset, you can ask yourself, what would happen if instead of wanting me or others to be perfect, I chose to focus on learning from setbacks and celebrate efforts? Maybe this can involve learning from setbacks of yourself or others' setbacks, right? You can learn from them too and celebrate their efforts, how much they have grown, as well as yours. So, as we wrap up, I wanted to, if you're really interested in creating a mindset shift on a deeper level, in creating transformational mindset shift for yourself, you can join my free training, which I'll be hosting this week, and um, this training will be hosted in the self love and self awareness group on Facebook. So this is actually a very brand new group. So um, building my community here. So you can scan the QR code to join the group, or you can use the link that I've added there, or just search on Facebook self love and self awareness support group. So here, what you can get here, I'll be providing. You'll be provided with direct support from me. You can have your questions answered. There'll be a regular live or recorded session for self transformation, and for those people who are joining in the beginning, because this is a new group, right? So initial members, they'll have an opportunity to get personalized insights and personalized mini coaching sessions for free. So I really look forward to the interested people in joining this group and attend this training. And even if you are unable to attend the training, I'll pin the training in the group, so you'll be able to attend it anyway. So thank you for attending. And before leaving, I wanted to share this quote by Dalai Lama. So that is, if you want others to be happy, practice compassion. And if you want to be happy, practice compassion. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Siripti. So that's really worth pondering. So, few words really that hit the mark for me is the phrase that you shared about I always mess up. I'm such a failure. So, as you are like your young self growing, so you definitely been thinking of such things because of the reprimanding and all the disciplining that you get, and then you came to think that you might be a failure because you get those things. But definitely, if you change it on a positive, like positive way, like you show it delivers a good positive message as well. Like the mistake doesn't define a person's worth. So thank you so much for that. I'll take it as a reminder. So I really appreciate and pleased to have heard that one today. And we are
I'm
opening
so glad.
questions and sharing insights from our attendees or participants. And would like to recognize the presence as well of the CEO of Cogent, Mr. Srini Tonta. You'd like to share some few words, sir, if you want. Okay. So it's either he may be working on something or currently driving, but he wishes to listen to information instead. All right. So yeah, we don't have any questions. I've checked live as well. We don't have any questions so
Okay.
far. So it's crisp and clear. Anything you'd like to promote aside from those you have um, flashed earlier?
Yeah, so whoever is interested in deeper transformational mindset shift, they can join this Facebook group. So that's what I would like to promote, because I feel that people will really benefit from understanding how mindset shift work, how they can level up their self concept and build confidence on a deeper level, right? So
Yes.
I feel this is what will be most useful for people.
Alrighty. Okay, so for those who are watching or will be watching this recorded session, please scan
Mhm.
or feel free to follow those links as posted on the screen. Again, thank you so much, Adipti, and we will be
Thank
now
you.
moving to the next topic for today.
Thank you so
All
much.
right, so we have chat from Sir Serini and said, "Thank you for wonderful insights." Thank you, sir, for
Thank you.
taking the
Thank you
time.
for joining. Thank you for listening.
All right. So for the second topic that we have today is how do you manage Gen Z and millennials to receive the best return on your investment? So this is one of the trending topics that's being discussed right now, and we are glad to have a speaker to deliver us this topic today. And this topic actually discusses a few things to be covered uh, by uh, by our speaker today. So he is currently a Gen Z and millennial expert. His name is Dr. Jason Wiggins. And what he will bring us today is the information about a brief background of the Gen Z and millennial generation. Like, give us a discussion with that will transition to a clear path of the requirements that should be met in order to create an exceptional Gen Z and millennial culture. And so to introduce our speaker with a short information, he's an inspired and motivated senior leader in plant operations, warehouse management, transportations, logistics, routing, customer service, and sales with a successful history of guiding professional business, including field technicians in the service and service rental industries, executive level responsibilities for both sales and operations teams with experience in business to business service or sales and vendor contract negotiations. But like the first speaker, I'll also give our speaker the time to properly introduce himself to this platform and to those who will be watching this recorded session later. And before he goes with the topic, so without further ado, help me welcome Dr. Jason Wiggins to give us the topic.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate the great introduction, Phil, and thank you for providing me the opportunity today to talk on a topic that I'm very passionate about. I'll briefly just kind of go over my brief introduction, and I'll go right into the topic. So I'm the author of the book, The Millennial Leadership: Is How to Retain and Motivate Millennial Leaders, along with being a keynote speaker, university professor. While I've been exploring multi-generations for almost 15 years, which includes Gen Z and millennial retention and motivation within all the industries, specifically service industries. I've been in management for over 25 years in a variety of blue and white collared executive roles, while conducting extensive cultural studies on millennials and Gen Zs in the workplace. And so my studies have revolved around understanding and motivating millennials and Gen Zs on how to retain them within the organization. I'm also the host of the popular podcast, Your Motivational Gen Z and Millennial Expert, and I'm available for speaking engagements for small and large businesses, along with universities and the workforce, and how to retain and motivate Gen Z and millennials. So I'm excited to be here today, and I look forward to introducing the topic, which is how do you manage Gen Z and millennials to get the best return on your investment? So the main concern when you're looking at Gen Zs and millennials as an executive of an organization is, how do I keep these individuals? That is the first and foremost question. But I think before we get into that question, I think it's best to provide a brief introduction of the current generations that are in the workforce. So we start out with the baby boomer generation, which is those individuals that were born right after World War II, roughly 1945 to 1964. And then the next generation that came after that is the Generation X or Gen X. And they were born between the years of, for 1965 to 1979. And then what we'll be discussing today is the millennial generation. And they were born between roughly 1980 to 1996. And then now the Gen Z generation is born between roughly 1997 to 2010, and not in the workforce as of yet, will be the Generation Alphas from roughly 2010 to current. Now, some of these dates will differentiate from many popular type of, whatever information you'll find online, because if Pew Institute will have one thing and somebody else will have a different thing. So again, it's basically a rough estimate of who you're talking to. So today's topic is, like I said, how do you manage Gen Z and millennials to get the best return on your investment? And the attrition cost for Gen Zs and millennials is extremely high. So when you train, invest, and continue to try to nurture that generation, it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you in not only knowledge, but overall budgetary cost. And so you really do have to look into investing into these two generations. I mean, when you're looking at all generations, you need to continue to invest. But the baby boomer generation was not a generation that believed in job hopping. However, Gen X started to slowly start switching jobs during their history. I mean, baby boomers were willing to stay with their organizations for forever. They maybe have one or two jobs in the entire lifeline. However, what Generation X began to see was their parents were losing their jobs over 15, 20, 25 years because of corporate downsizing and all the issues that were involved with that. So all of a sudden, they saw that level of dedication by the organization be something that was no longer in existence. That is why now millennials and Gen Zs have no problem considering 1 year tenureship with an organization a long-term employment opportunity. And it's not surprising if you're an HR executive or a hiring manager to review resumes and see the last 7 years of employment and have 7 jobs, averaging 1 year. So that is why, the attrition and reviewing the attrition of millennials and Gen Z is so important, because the cost of training, the cost of reinvesting, the cost of placing ads, recruiters. I can tell you one time, just to give you an example, when I was recruited for a position, I also reviewed the P&L. So I saw that the cost to recruit me alone was roughly $40,000 to the recruiter. So that right there tells me, depending on the position, if it's an entry level to corporate level type of position, you're going to see the difference of the monetary commitments. But the reality is is they are extremely extensive, high cost. So now that leads to, what can we do about this? This is a big problem, and any top executive within an organization has to be aware of how to retain, motivate Gen Z and millennials. And so we're going to talk about, how do you do that? Well, what you have to do is consider that right now, your Gen Z or millennial is probably looking for their next opportunity. They are on the computer, either brushing up their resume, brushing up their networking, because if you as an organization is not fulfilling the needs of the individual that is working for you, then they are likely looking for somebody else that is willing to fulfill those needs within that opportunity. So, the worst mistake is to think that your employees are not looking. Even if you're doing a great job as an employer, you have to figure out what are some key ways to be able to keep employees, hire great employees, especially if they are within the Gen Z and millennial generation spectrum. So first of all is, you have to look at how you're going to hire these individuals. Some of the classic ways of hiring within, Indeed or Career Builder or Glassdoor, those may not be all the optimal ways to hire talent. These days with Instagram and all of the different type of platforms, you have to look to reach out and don't dismiss these opportunities, because they really are opportunities, and how to really review what's important to the Gen Z and millennials. So another important aspect is, once you have these individuals on board, it's really important that you have a good 30, 60, 90-day check-in process to ensure that they are getting all the resources, all the availability of the feedback and nurturing that an organization can provide. If they are not feeling comfortable within that 30, 60, 90-day critical period, then they're likely going to be looking for their next opportunity to see what else is available. And if you're not providing the necessary feedback, and when I say feedback, I don't mean an email, I don't mean a text. Actually, believe it or not, Gen Zs, and particularly millennials as well, they value face-to-face feedback. I remember that as a new management individual back in the late 90s, I was trying to, quote, kind of go around what I was trying to say. I would not get straight to the point, because baby boomers, you wanted to massage their egos. You wanted to make sure that they felt comfortable, and because again, they had been with the organization a long time. So there was a different way of dealing. But then as I learned, as millennials came on board, then it was important for me to be very straightforward, provide the feedback, provide what they do well, what they don't do well. And that same type of feedback has also transcended to Generation Zs now. So it's very optimal to make sure that your feedback is concise. It is not opinionated, it is factual information. And then add to that what they can do to improve it. It's not good enough to say, this is what you do wrong. No, you need to provide alternatives to how they can improve, because that is one thing about the Gen Z and millennials. They value the feedback. They want to be better. They want to improve their skills. Think about this. Gen Zs are, and millennials, they grew up in the digital era. For the most part, Gen Zs have always had an iPad from the time they were 2 years old. I was just recently in Mexico, and we were sitting down for breakfast, and I looked around and I saw every kid pretty much over the age of 2 had an iPad in front of them, so their parents could eat a quiet breakfast. But they utilize these platforms because it keeps them entertained. But not only keeping them entertained, it's providing them knowledge that, as growing up as maybe a Generation X or baby boomers, the only knowledge that we were able to come up with was from books, from our teachers, from our parents, while now you have all that digital available via all the digital platforms, specifically YouTube. So that's what I found out, was that there is a difference of the digital way that we review. So that is why information is easily available. And that's why the face-to-face feedback is so vital. It's not like you can just provide information that isn't real. It needs to be factual, that they can go ahead and research and look at that and go, wait a minute, that information is not correct. So what we've learned right now is face-to-face feedback is one way to reduce attrition and job hopping. And then you have to look at work and life balance. Work and life balance, some companies promote it. I worked for organizations that promote work and life balance, but it wasn't reality. They may have talked about it, but they didn't actually follow through with it. And that is one of the number one ways to find your talented Gen Z and Millennial to be brushing up their resume and to lead the organization, because they do value that work and life balance. They are great hard workers. They're willing to put in the time. They're dedicated. And that was one of the misconceptions early on for millennials. They stated that millennials were lazy. They weren't in tune to what was going on. They wanted participation awards. They wanted to be told they were great in everything they did. There's the also realism part of that, is they understand that was just more of a facade about the generation, because the reality is they are a great generation. They work hard. They're willing to put in the time. They're dedicated as long as the company is dedicated to them. And that is the same for Generation Z. Actually, Generation Z is slightly different. They actually value stability. They want stability. They've seen the recession. They've seen what's happened at 2008. They heard of 9/11, what happened there. They've seen all the struggles. So they're slightly different than millennials. Millennials grew up in the boom part of the era and when it came to the economy, while Gen Z is kind of came in when the economy wasn't doing great. So they want to have jobs that last for a long time. So there is a little bit of differentiation, but don't get me wrong. They are also willing to brush up their resumes if you don't take care of all the aspects that lead to employee engagement. So we've talked about face-to-face feedback. We've talked about, making sure that you're taking care of Gen Z and millennial employees and then making sure that you're nurturing them. But employee engagement is, again, extremely important. You have to find ways to put everybody together, meaning you want to ensure that they feel that they are part of an organization. I grew up, hearing the statement that employees don't leave the company, they leave their bosses. And that is a true fact. If you have a great relationship with your boss and you have that connection where you can speak with him or her at any point in time to, get any feedback you need, that's going to be helpful. However, if you know the company is not interested in your well-being or your other cohorts members, they will also see that it's a facade, meaning you have to really demonstrate as a good employer that you're dedicated to your employees with work-life balance, with employee engagement, with face-to-face feedback. So that is another important part of, ensuring that you don't lose valuable members. Because going back to our opening statement, it's the attrition of Gen Z and millennials that are costing organizations thousands of dollars. And then, we're talking upper, for a high level executive positions, you could be paying $100,000 to $300,000 in recruiting, in all of the ads and everything that's associated with it. Many companies will try to have, as many recruiters looking for these individuals. So again, that costs additional monies for the organization. So when we talk about work-life balance, we're talking about remote positions, hybrid positions. The pandemic brought along issues, but one of the things it did promote was the opportunity to work from home. But now organizations are pushing those individuals that are working from home and trying to push them back in the office. And that's going to also push Gen Z and millennials to look at other opportunities because they value that work-life balance. They value that ability to be able to work at different times of the day. It's not because they're going to be sitting home doing nothing, but they might be working longer during the day, but at different times. So that is why an organization should want to promote Gen Z and millennial hybrid and remote opportunities. And a couple other things I'd like to leave you with is the company culture. Well, we talked about employee engagement, company culture, social diversity, inclusion, things that are near and dear to the hearts of Gen Z and millennials should be near and dear to the hearts of the organization, shared from the top management down to the line level employees. It should be, this is what we share, our culture, this is what we value. And that goes back to my earlier point. Don't just state something exists when it doesn't, because Gen Z and millennials can see the reality of what a company is trying to show them versus what is really happening. And that's just going to get you back to what we talked about earlier. They're likely to brush up the resume and leave the organization. Remember, Gen Z and millennials, they want to be part of something great. They want to be part of an organization that values them, that provides the opportunities for future growth. They want to be able to know that, my contributions matter. And that is why salary is not one of the most important aspects of keeping Gen Z and millennials. That may be a short-term fix, but what they value is the added benefits that the organization will provide. One of the key topics that is discussed in many different applications is mental health. This was never talked about in the baby boom era. Baby boomers, they were willing to work to their death for that company because they were dedicated. And they felt like it was a sign of weakness to state that I have a concern about my mental well-being. I feel like I'm being worked too hard. Yesterday, I just had a conversation with an individual that reached out. He's a baby boomer right at the beginning, and he's been working for this organization for the last 3 years. And he expressed to me that my health is going in a different direction. And I shared with him, I said, remember one thing, your family, your interpersonal well-being is what is the most important. We can make money, we can find a job, but if you're not happy, then I would behoove you to look at other alternatives. So again, even the baby boomers are starting to realize that work is not everything. So companies that promote mental health, well-being, and share that this is a value to them is going to pay huge dividends with Gen Z and millennials. So again, just to recap, we talked about face-to-face feedback. We talked about the 30, 60, 90-day check-in. We talked about work-life balance, remote, hybrid opportunities, the lack of future growth. The employees don't leave companies, they leave their bosses. And salary is not the most important thing. So if you want to continue to minimize job hopping as a CEO and management HR, then you need to look at some of the things that you do and see if you're really focused on the employee's well-being or if you're just focused on the bottom line. If you're focused on the employees, you will save money, you will save knowledge within your organization, and you will have great, thriving Gen Z and millennials employed with you for long future. So again, if there's any questions I can answer, I know we're kind of coming up on time, so I'm happy to answer it. And again, thank you for your time, and thank you again for Phil for allowing me to speak today. So appreciate your time.
Yes, thank you so much, Doctor Wiggins. So it's really a gratitude for us to invite you as well here in this platform. And yes, I've been reminded as well where with the insights and opinions you have shared based on the facts that you have gathered. I'm also in a millennial. I'm part of the millennials. So and also I've been yes, that's what you've mentioned are totally true. Like I've been before I've been jumping companies like BPOs. So one company from another and didn't really find those things that you said. And I'm proud to say I found those here in Cogent, and I really appreciate the opportunity that they gave me. And yes. So okay. So, and yeah, as also the CEO mentioned, Srini Tanta mentioned as well that you were able to give excellent inputs and well articulated. So we really appreciate those. And yeah, just to read the chat that you said. So you have your so Dr. Wiggins have weekly podcast, your motivational Gen Z and millennial expert, and also a book in millennial leadership and how to understand, retain, and motivate Gen Y leaders. All right. So with those, we also open the floor for any questions or insight from the other participants, if you wish to. And yes, Dr. Wiggins, while we are waiting for those, aside from those I have read on the chat, do you have any other like online seminars or coachings, or you have like you have started a business or something or of sort that you wanted people to know about?
Yeah, excellent. I am, like I mentioned before, I'm available for speaking engagements. I love talking to businesses, universities, and really enlightening the opportunity to ensure that you're getting the best from your employees that are Gen Z and millennials. And I love talking to Gen Z and millennials and motivating them because they are the future. They are the most intelligent generations, and they offer the most for their employers. And I think it's one of the platforms that I really enjoy is talking to them and empowering them to do much more than they think they're capable of.
Already. So that is very much appreciated. So thank you so much, speakers. So time, well, the time is exactly an hour right now, and we're able to cover the two topics with such great speakers that we have today. So if you have further questions with our speakers, you can actually reach out to them on LinkedIn. So for Sudipti, you can just search there Sudipti P. So that's with double E, Sudeepti. And then for Dr. Jason, you just put there Jason Wiggins or Dr. Jason Wiggins. Also, his email is jason.wigginsprofessional@gmail.com if you wish to contact offline or to collaborate further. All right. So this closes the session for today. And for those questions that were not for those questions being parked, you can just send it in their LinkedIn accounts or in their email. Yeah, for further offline collaboration. So we thank you so much for those who attended on our live platforms as well, Facebook and YouTube. Thank you so much. And this recorded session will be uploaded on our YouTube channel. Let us talk IT or let us talk it, so you can watch it later on when you have the leisure to do so. So we invite you again as well next Wednesday, the same time, 12 noon to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. to witness two new topics and accompanied by two new speakers as well that we will bring you in this platform. So let us continue to share knowledge, as knowledge should be free and everyone should benefit from those. And yeah, we give thanks to everyone. And this ends the session for this Zipinar. And we wish you well and all the best, everyone.
Yeah, I have a request, Dr. Jason. Can you stay back?
I can, absolutely.
Have a 5-minute conversation. Yeah.